Welcome to the Trev Log, where I am working towards becoming a game developer. I have a game that I'd like to make, and I don't have any skills to make it. So I have decided I'm going to make this devlog where I document my progress through learning how to use Unreal Engine 5 is where I'm starting. I am going to be following the Unreal Engine 5 beginner tutorial from Bad Decisions Studio, which will be linked in the description. And as you can see, I've already downloaded Unreal Engine and installed it and everything. I've done a little bit of work, and I realized, well, I would like to start making videos, and if anyone starts to watch them and have anything to say, that would be great. But as it is, I want to document my journey from not knowing anything really to a place where ultimately I know what I'm doing and I am making the game that I want to make, which at first is a combat arena game with swords and magic and the like. So that is the goal, and what I plan to do is just listen to this video, and then while I'm just gonna pause the recording, I'll listen to the video. If you want to go check out their video, then you can feel free to do that. But at the end of the day, this is really for me, and um, if I start getting a following and people have opinions, then maybe I'll change what I'm doing. But anyway, enough about that. Let's get into things. So some stuff that I figured out so far is if I'm holding the right mouse button, I can look around, and then like, A moves left and D moves right. Like if you just push A and D and S, whatever, nothing happens. So, um, just saying, you can move, which is pretty cool. So I have a cube out because, again, I already did the first tutorial before I decided to make a channel, and I don't think I made it far enough, admittedly, to for there to be any concerns. So, all right, let's see what they have to say. Interesting. I don't know what happened to my stuff the last time I was playing around. Ah, the problem is that I I need to click on it, and then it gives you all this stuff. So, like, you can click and drag the cube around by holding on that center thing, or you can move it with one of the arrows. So, yeah, just anyway. And this is for lighting, but I forget how to use that, so I've gone back a little bit in time so that I can kind of remember. I kind of took a hiatus. I started and took a hiatus. Anyway, the other thing that you can do to move a cube around is actually use the coordinates over here in the transform. So just like in math, when you want to move an item, you transform it. Well, you can change the location, rotate it, or scale it using these. So if you want to be super precise about where an item is, you can use those. So that's cool. So in the video, I just learned I hadn't thought about it, but the red number correlates to the red arrow, and the green correlates to the green arrow, assign the blue number to the blue arrow, so that's convenient. That's nice. Okay, so I've also just learned that you can move it by just when your cursor turns into a slider arrow, you can slide the object, which is pretty cool as well. So yeah, the x-axis, y-axis, and z-axis. That's pretty neat. So I can rotate it. Whee! Cool. All right, neat. All right, so I just also now learned that this select and translate. So translate is when you just move an object from one location to another, and it doesn't rotate or change in any way. But the select and rotate objects button, I could just push E, and then it'll select that apparently. Yeah. Oh shit. Okay, there we go. And then I can rotate on this axis or this axis or okay, that's cool. So you can push E or you can manually click it. So that's pretty cool, and it gives you all these options here. Nice. So that's in addition to, um, I still don't know. This is the viewport they were saying, but I forget what they call this on the right side. I'll figure it out as I go. All right, so they just said what it's called. They say it's the details panel, which makes perfect sense since it gives you the details. So, but it is cool. It does show you it it rotates on a 5-degree increment, which makes me wonder if I can adjust that myself, like so that it's 1-degree increments that it rotates by automatically, but I'm sure I'll get to that at some point. And then, but also I could actually do an exact, like if I rotate it here, it's going by, yeah, 1 degree every time I rotate at all. Yeah. So you can be really precise with it. Okay, well that's cool. Yeah. So the details panel, that's what this is called over here. Oh, it even says details. And then this is the outliner. Lists all actors in the level by name organized in a tree view. So I'm specifically selected on the cube. If I selected this, I'm on the floor, and I could rotate the entire floor. That's cool. Okay, nice. And just to be clear, um, there are these arrows here, which I haven't talked about, but it resets everything to default values. So if you've moved things around, and I don't know what this is going to be like later when a bunch of stuff is wherever, but you push this and it's going to reset it to baseline 000, or like here, its location seems pretty weird. Let me hit reset. Oh, okay, not so weird. But let's see, okay, right click, and then S, zoom out, and what, Q to go down a little. There you go. Cool. Nice. Okay, so I don't really want the cube in the ground, so I'm going to push W to activate translate. Yep, okay, that was right. And then I'm going to grab it and move it up a little bit. And then whoa, nope, there we go. Yep, change my position a little bit. Son of a gun. Okay, it's E that makes me go up. Okay, cool. There we go. And then I'll push R. Nope, R was wrong. E. R seems like it should be for rotation, but R is apparently for scaling. Okay, I'm going to start learning how to scale now. Cool, this seems good. So W for translate, E for rotate, and R for scale, or scalar, scalar. Okay, so I just learned, unsurprisingly, when you can, I wonder if I could make this go faster. But anyway, you can adjust the scale, obviously, by clicking and dragging these different, let's see, oh my goodness gracious. I'm gonna have to get used to moving around. Okay. Um, you can scale things, but what they were saying, and then let's reset all that. Oh, that's tiny now. I can. Oh goodness, this is kind of awkward. Oh, push forward, it zooms up while you're holding the white, and then pull back, and it zooms it or scales it down. But something that they were just showing is that if you push the lock button here, it all the axis values scale together. So if I click on that, it locks it. And now when I grab red, just red, it's still gonna, oh, it's still gonna scale just one? What? What did I, interesting. I feel like I missed, oh, what if is it in here? Ah, it does it all when you're inside the, so it locked it to the details panel, no matter which one of these I change. And this is important, obviously, because, you want a smaller version of something. You don't want it to be weirdly proportioned, of course. So I'm going to reset all that and then try this again. There we go. All right, cool. And that's just like grabbing the center. But you can still, even when this is locked, you can still adjust if you want to. Just one, the width or the height or the depth, whatever you want to change the scale of. Neat. Okay. Okay, so they started talking about an issue that I had just raised a few moments ago, having to do with rotation. So let's push E. There we go, rotation. And these buttons up here change the the snapping, I guess. Basically, like toggle whether, yeah, snap. Toggle whether objects snap to present preset angles when you rotate them. So if I click the blue, it turns that off and it won't snap. So it's just free rotation at this point. It just literally goes by hundredths of a degree. So that's pretty cool. And then if I turn this back on, and then this lets you change into, yeah, 5 degrees, 10 degrees. Like if I want to rotate 45 degrees at a time, it's pretty big, not smooth, because it's rotating 45 degrees at a time. And then this is same for scaling and also same for when you move them. So that's pretty cool. So that answers that question. Let's put this, I like 5 degrees increment, and then let's reset this. Okay, cool. Okay, I like that. That's cool. Okay, so I just learned an important thing in this world of auto saves. Unreal Engine doesn't auto save, and so the unsaved, it says one unsaved right down here, so I'm going to click that. And apparently there could be a lot of things here. Obviously, I don't have a lot going on at the moment, so I'll just click Save Selected. And now it's all saved. So, according to them, Unreal Engine crashes like every day. You're gonna have moments where you crash, so I'm gonna need to be careful about making sure that I save regularly for sure. Anyway, save is down here. Control S is not how you save in Unreal Engine. Right, so they're just talking about how basically there's this tab, it says main. This is called a level, and so this one's currently called main, and there is a save disk here, but it saves the current level only. So if I've been working on multiple levels, then I'll only save the one level that I'm currently on, and this button down here in the bottom right where I saved already is going to save everything. How it says all saved. So there's a lot of different stuff. I'm about to learn how to create a new level, and so we'll see. We'll see what they tell us. Okay, I'm going to learn how to bring in new assets, and it's called the content drawer down here in the bottom left, and which you can open with Control Spacebar as the hotkey, or you could just click the button. So I'm going to try Control Space because I want to learn the hotkeys. And ooh, brings up all of these things. So again, I did do a little bit of stuff previously, and I'm kind of going back because I decided to. It's just been a while, and I had only done like one day of anything in Unreal Engine. So here we go. So I was on materials because again, I've already imported some stuff from before, but basically when it starts here on content, uh, interesting. They had something going. Oh, filters. So in the filters here, this filter button, you can go and pick specifically what you want to actually look at. So when once I wind up with uh, a bunch of assets, maybe I only want to look at materials or textures or static mesh, skeletal mesh, whatever. And so when that time comes, I'll have the filter that I can use in order to look at only the type of assets that I want to look at. So that's cool as well. It's become clear to me that I was covering up what I was talking about. So again, this is my first video, so I'll just say the content drawer button is down here in the bottom left and all this stuff. So I'll have to get better about that, making sure I'm not hiding anything from you or from myself. All right, so let me adjust where I am because actually I'm now going to go to File and New Level, create a new level, and there are some options here, like an open world with landscape or an empty open world, which I don't really know the difference between these so far, but for the purposes of following along with the Unreal Engine 5 beginner tutorial part 2, navigating the interface like a pro, they said to choose basic. So that's what I'm going to do. Create. And now, here I am. And I was curious how this is going to, how this is going to be as far as, so it looks just like what I had before, except now it's Yes. Okay. I wonder how I easily switch between levels, but I'm sure that'll come up at some point. I'm sure I'll figure that out. So let's keep going. All right. So looking at the outliner over here, you can see that there's all these things like lighting and directional light, which is why when you look at um, the viewport, uh, there are clouds and like the sky atmosphere, skylight, all these things have already just been brought into the basic. And they were saying player start, which is like where the player would start if this was already a game that was made. We don't need it, so we're going to delete it. Let's see, if I click it and push backspace, yep, that did the trick. Okay, so they said get rid of that. Don't need it right now. Cool. Okay, so they noted that if you hold Control and push L, it brings out this O light dome thing, but then it disappears, so that's interesting. What if I go back a little bit? Control L. I don't do anything, just disappears. Interesting. Control L. Let's, what? Why is it disappearing? Control L. Well, let me see if I missed something. Okay, I figured it out. You have to hold Control now, and then you just start rotating around. And the sun moves. Sunset. That's pretty darn cool. It changes the time of the day. Yeah, pretty awesome that it gives you access to these things just just like that. Neat. That's cool. Okay. All right. So at this point, we kind of just talked about these different items on the right, which I will show. You can toggle the visibility of this object in the level editor. I mean, that's what it says. Click it, and then bam, the sky atmosphere is gone. And you can change the sky light, change the clouds, whether they're there or not. So you're just hiding it and hiding it. Hide the floor. So that's all of that. I'm going to save everything, and they're going to show me how to. Ooh, interesting. I didn't make it so far, so let's see how they tell me to save. They're going to talk about the idea of folders. Like to me, currently main is not in the levels folder, which feels like it should be since it's a level. So we'll see. We'll see what they say. Okay, so finally, um, I already did this before. You just right click and create a new folder, which I'm not going to do because they said to name it levels. So if I click in here, spaceship new folder, let's see, levels, so spaceship is in here. I guess interesting. I wonder if I could have made it back to That that makes sense. I was curious what had happened. This other, like, I had already made it this far, but I didn't know where these things went, so I get totally brand new. Okay, so I'm gonna try to do here, and let me make sure I'm not in my own way. I am. Is I'm going to try opening the spaceship. So content. Aha. So I'm gonna double click this. Do I want to save this selected? I think. See, let's cancel. I guess I do want to save. I do want to do that. Escape. Escape. No. Content or close that. Okay, so saved. I'm going to save selected. I'm going to go to levels. Put it in here. I'm going to call it spaceship. Name may not contain white space. Okay. So underscore Trev Log, because differentiated from the original spaceship that I made. Save now, just because I want to see what the other one was like. It says content short, double click. Aha. Okay, cool. So in control space, close that. Okay, here we are. I just was on the wrong layer to see this. So that's cool. Okay, so control space, after this, control space, close that. Okay, yeah, that's hotkeys. Very good. Very good. Okay, cool. Let's get back to it. And then the other way that they were showing to be able to get into different levels is hold file or hold click file, go to recent levels, and I have Spaceship Trev Log, which is the one I'm on, Spaceship, which I just looked at, and Main, where we started the video from. So, okay, I'm just going to stay here, but good to know. Good to know. Okay, so I had completely forgotten how to do this, and so this is what we need: content drawer, and then we can add specifically. There are all these things that we could add: animations, audio, blueprints, cinematics, all this stuff. Um, there are blueprints and levels, level sequences, materials, etc. But we're going to add a feature or content pack. And from here, when you're originally creating, deciding what you're going to choose to start with, you can choose like third person or top down, AR, virtual reality vehicle, etc. Um, and so if I wanted a 3D or third person mannequin to play with, I could click third person and give me these things. Like it tells you specifically, like, this pack features a playable character where the camera observes an over the shoulder point of view. The player can rotate the camera and move around using keyboard, mouse controller, or virtual joystick on a touch device, etc., etc. But instead of doing that at this moment, I'm going to go to content and then starter content, which is a collection of miscellaneous assets to include in your Unreal project, like static meshes, props such as a table, chair, door, lamp, etc., and textures so that you can make things look like brick, clay, wood, and so forth, and just some various different particles like fire, dust, explosion, etc. So I've already added this, but you would just click Add Project. I don't need to do that this channel is to hold myself accountable because I really do want to do this. And I don't know about you, but I sometimes find it very difficult to follow through on my own goals, my own aspirations because of, I don't know, the barrier is for me exactly like why do I procrastinate? I don't know. Why do you procrastinate? Why do I procrastinate? Is it like fear, time commitment? I don't know. But I've decided that I am going to choose discipline over regret. And so here we go. I'm going to cancel out of this and keep going. Okay, so at this point, now this is why before I had starter content already, these folders here, because I had already added the starter content folder. And so I'm going to go down to materials and, oh, yeah, they were just saying to bring out a cube. I'm going to bring out a cube. So there's this like shape. It's a cube with a plus, and you click on that. I don't see that there's a hotkey for that, but that's okay. Go down to shapes, cube, and just drag this thing out here. What is happening? W and R and make it a little bit bigger. And okay, now I've got a cube happening. And now the sun, it does look pretty cool, the lighting. Again, I'm personally, by the way, I'm not looking to go hyper realistic with my graphics. I definitely want a more stylized style. But let's hop in. So materials, I know something that they were like, if I want a ground grass effect, click and drag onto the cube and bam. Now, oh, son of a gun. Kind of want, so, whoa. I wonder why I zoomed in on it like that. Anyway, that's kind of neat. I'll figure that out, how to do that on purpose. But for the moment, I actually don't want it to be so sundown. So Control L, and there we go. That feels better. Let go Control L, and then that disappears. Okay, there we go. Grass, and or say I want it to look like basalt. What is happening? There we go. Ta-da! So pretty darn easy to change the texture. That looks pretty cool. Pretty neat. Okay, cool. Cool. Okay, I admittedly made it gold while I was paused. And then they were saying, let's make the floor burnished silver, which map templates. I don't know how I did that. Fascinating. I'm in the engine. I need to get back into materials. Okay, there we go. And then burnished steel right here. So I'm going to make the floor burnished steel. So that looks pretty neat. Let's go back a little bit. If I click on the cube and I zoom out and then I let go. Okay, that didn't do it. I don't know how I did that. But that looks neat. It's coming together. Okay, cool. Oh, it did it again. So now when I'm going backwards, but what if I'm going forwards, backwards, let go, forwards, let go? I don't get it. Huh. I'm doing it on accident somehow. Anyway, okay. Figure it out. Okay, something else that they just showed is how to duplicate. So if I wanted to duplicate this, then I can, was it Control D? Was it? Yeah, cube and cube 2. Oh, no, that's scaling. W, and there's a second one. Delete that. I apparently can hold Alt and just pull a duplicate out. Neat. So that's cool. So hold Alt and just drag a new object straight out, or Control D for duplicate that, which totally makes sense. Okay, and then let's hit E. No, that's for R for scalar. That's right. Make this one a little bit smaller, I guess. Maybe zoom in a bit on these. Down. Nope. Down. Let's drag W. Put these on the ground. Neat. Okay, so this. If I just hit 0, enter. Now that I put it in. I don't like that. That's not what I want. There we go. Okay. Cool. All right. Moving forward. I mean, you're just going to hear me processing, y'all. My goal, and I know I'm, 30 minutes into this video right now, but my goal is just to be super honest about my process. Like, I'm not trying to, this isn't manicured content. I think there's a lot of manicured content out there. Everybody's trying to do that. My goal is not to be popular. My goal is to make honest content. Um, and I'm not trying to trick anybody or manipulate in any kind of way. I'm just doing my thing with the goal of making a game. And if people are into that at some point, that would be wonderful. Like, I'm looking at my screen instead of looking at the camera. I don't have etiquette. I don't know what I'm doing. And I laugh a lot. So, over time you'll get to know the type of person that I am and how I do things. But um, I know that I can figure this out. I can follow directions. I have an inquisitive mind. I like to learn, and I know I can learn. And so, even though that there are times when I think it's going to be, I don't know, I have fear about things sometimes, like that holds me back. Um, for whatever reason, I don't really know why. Like confidence issues. I don't know if you ever feel like you have confidence issues around things, but I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to do it again. Discipline instead of regret. I'm going to save. Spaceship Trev Log, yep, save. Cool. Because I haven't changed. I guess the reason when I clicked save here, it only gave me the Spaceship Trev Log level because it's the only one that I've done anything to, so there's no need to save other levels or anything like that. Cool. All right. Okay, so here's the last thing we're going to do then, which is Control B, or see, that's what I did. I pushed Control B, and it brought out basic shapes. So that was an accident, but hey, Control B gives you access to basic shapes. So that's cool. Not what I intended. I wonder if Control just, no, Control D gave me a duplicate. Okay, I was just thinking, does Control always access my content drawer? Probably to some extent, like a duplicate is, in a way, creating an item from the content drawer, in a way. Anyway, particles, though. Particles gives you the, like, steam, sparks, fire. So I could bring out a fire and drop it here. And then I can, zoom in on it, drag it around. So there's a fire. And just like with the cube, you could hit R and then scale it to make it a bigger fire, and W to drag the fire around. Let's see. Okay, got a fire blazing. Can add control space. Could add some steam to it if I wanted, or smoke. Oh, my goodness gracious. There we go. Could scale the smoke as well. That fire's putting off a lot of smoke. Control B could bring out some sparks. Maybe that's what started the whole issue. Yeah, it turns out it's that's so funny. Here the sparks are really big. There it goes. That looks much better. So you click on it, and when you scale it, I thought that it was gonna function. It was gonna look visually like before, but no. You just see the sparks getting smaller or bigger as you go. So that's pretty cool. So, nope. W, shower of sparks. Not that that makes sense, really. But now there's a bunch of stuff happening right here, so I guess one last thing I'll say is, again, like, if I want access to the sparks, I can just click it here in the outliner, and it gives me access to it. I don't really like the sparks in this particular scene right now, so I'm going to hit backspace to get rid of it. And I'm going to hit save, and save selected. And that's going to be it. That's video number 1 of the Trev Log. Cool.